for me to start. I think I pushed the start button before I was ready. But hello everybody. Hi, I'm back at my backyard. I just took a shower because I just ran a 5K on my son's birthday. Yep, it's his actual birthday. He was born at 2 a.m. this morning. We all got a little sleep and a lot of coffee. Well, at least me. I've drunken some coffee. So, yeah, celebrate with me. There is an Instagram post to actually, I was fortunate enough to find a song. It was like recommending, hey, you want to put a song to this? And I searched for a song that was the song he was born to, Heaven's Eyes by Jillian Edwards. So that's going to be a song I've got to learn. In fact, I could go pick up my guitar and learn it right now. I think I've even printed it out in times past in an attempt. There's a monarch butterfly flying above me, which that in itself is very interesting because my children have collected several eggs to save them. They're part of the Save the Monarch Foundation, club that they started. So I'm not sure which is the president, which is the vice president of that club amongst my two daughters. But that's what they're doing, raising monarch butterflies. We can set them free in our backyard and watch them fly away. It's really gorgeous and beautiful and wonderful. The stuff of life, right? It's a gorgeous day. I enjoyed a little 5K run. I really needed it. I felt like my body was atrophying. Have you ever had that feeling where you're like, I need to run? So, did that. I finished my book a few days ago. I finished the formatting today. So we'll be looking forward to that release here shortly. But for now, there's a free sample download of 27,000 words of it in the description below of a PDF. And that is actually looking really good. It's looking really sharp there. So I love it. It's a wonderful book, and I'm very grateful for God. I'm grateful for Jesus. I'm grateful for Jesus working with me. So today I was listening to Isaiah. I got to chapter 6 of Isaiah, and it made me realize, because here's what happened. I was online a little earlier, and I saw the Gospel According to Peter, like this book on Amazon, and I'm like, what in the heck? Is this legitimate? I've never looked into this stuff. I've been one of those characters who have had historically stuck only to the 66 books of the canon for any kind of truth, right? I think that fundamentalist starting point isn't necessarily a bad thing to say, I only trust God, I only trust Jesus, in a world that's filled with lies and you don't know what to believe, and even religious lies about perspectives on things. There was a little bit of a critique that Tullian Tchividin, try spelling his last name, Tullian Tchividin. Have you ever heard of him? I was tracking with him for some time because I was really thrilled about the grace message that was coming through that man, and just what God was doing in and through him, and how the Lord really liberated him from a lot of sour milk thinking, like rotten egg thinking, when it comes to relating to God, in terms of looking inward or looking to Jesus, keeping your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfection of your faith. I do like to say perfection. I know it's perfecter because he's in the business of doing that. He's bringing us continually more into alignment with himself. And I'm not sure if that will ever end, really. When we're dealing with an infinite, perfect love, I mean, how does growth ever stop? I think this is what keeps him a mystery. That's where the word mystic comes from. That's why I wrote my book called The Mystic One, because he's a mystery. He's an endless fascination. When we're fixed our eyes on on Jesus with rapt attention. You know what rapt means? Rapt means fascinated, utterly fascinated by what we're seeing and hearing from this Jesus. Okay, and I pray that you would have those kinds of experiences. I have been growing in my awareness and experience of the Lord in these matters of the mystical realms. You know, the other day I tried to rename my. I was thinking. I'm spitballing. What do I rename my channel, right? And I so wanted to provide, just give people a sense like this is a safe place. I want to like almost like a virtual church, you know. And if I was going to name a church, you know, if I was going to name a church, it would be the Church of the Mystic Realms, right? So, welcome to the Church of the Mystic Realms. This is Sir Pastor Daniel, the first of the Church of the Mystic Realms. Whatever, you know, I don't take any of this stuff terribly seriously, except that I do, because it's wonderfully, delightfully, playfully serious. It's joyfully serious. It's seriously funny, is what it is. When you come to know the real Jesus, he's seriously funny, and we have a great time. So, where was I? Rapt attention, keeping your eyes on Jesus. So Tullian Tchividin, he had some commentary about who's the man who passed on? There's a Bible teacher. You know, okay, his name's coming to mind. What if I just keep him unnamed? But he was like one of the most famous Bible teachers and well renowned in the suit and tie, formal religious traditions in the conservative Christian world. Okay, well, he passed on, and that's funny. He just commented about his teaching, like because he said, you know what my experience of this man was and his teaching, it was, hey, you better check your own fruit to make sure you're a believer. You know, always introspective, always navel gazing, spiritual navel gazing, and it said it destroyed him. It utterly destroyed him, and he experienced no joy, and he became stodgy and judgmental of everyone, most especially himself, Tullian Tchividin says. And I can relate to that. I can relate to that sort of, quagmire. It's quicksand, guys. It's quicksand. It's like you're diving into what looks like a refreshing pool. You know, you're jumping off the cliff and maybe doing a little flip and to impress your significant other, and just inches below the surface is just the thickest sludge mud that you get stuck head first into, and you're going to suffocate unless a miracle happens. I had a dream like that. That's why I'm kind of using this metaphor. I had a dream about exactly that. You know, that's how it is with sin. That's how it is with the spirit of religion, which is the most diabolical sin error of all. It's missing the mark. That's what sin means. Diabolical. Diabolical. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for all these comments. It's so fun. I remind you of the white Jesus after taking shrooms. That's fun. Remind me of the angel that crash landed on a rock. That's fun. Thank you. And Holy Martin, thank you for congratulating me on having a son. That was it's the comment. In the description below this video, there's a link to my Instagram post and a picture of my son set to the song that he was born to, Gillian Edwards' Heaven's Eyes. I'm like, oh, that's nice. That's swell. That is swell. So yeah, I'm a lucky man. My wife and the baby are sleeping inside now and just resting up and recovering from the ordeal. It was quite the ordeal. We all got very little sleep. But I'm delighted. I'm delighted with this little boy. I prayed for him. I prayed for him, and here he is. I prayed for him, and I actually had a vision of him from heaven. He was looking down from heaven before he came, and I'm like, oh my goodness, who are you? And all I knew was just he's just the most sweetest, most innocent, purest heart you could ever possibly imagine. You know, he's the sort of person you just want to go all G-rated. You know, you want to, because if this is who is looking down on me from heaven, you know, I want to be connected to that. That's heavenly. That's heavenly. And so, yeah, he really compelled me, and eventually I realized it was him, because I had another dream where I laid down in the bed with him and just looked him in the face and just said, I love you, I love you, I love you. So, yeah, my son, Ethan Aloysius Alexander Timothy Ragsdale III, love it, warrior prince, is here to kick some butt, to kick some devil butt. All right? He's going to kick some devil butt. He's going to be the biggest glory bomb. And the Lord, this is the Lord's doing. This was the verse that Jesus gave me from, well, actually, there's a context. Psalm 118, it says that, you know, I want to give a little bit of the context. The stone that the builders rejected has become the chief cornerstone. And this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. And today is the day, today, what is it? Rejoice, what was it? Rejoice something? Today is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I mean, I should have known that. That's like a kid's song I grew up singing. But that's the passage. But the Lord only cued me into the middle verse. He said, this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. You know, so this is a verse. This is Ethan's verse. So he's got a song, he's got a verse, he's got lots of prophetic words, because we had this amazing baby shower for him, and so many prophetic people, you know, wrote out prophetic words for him on 3x5 cards that, you know, just made me tear up. It was pretty powerful. It's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing, you know. He's got a powerful future and a destiny ahead of him, and especially because of what his name means. The Lord gave me his name, Alexander, and Aloysius, actually. Aloysius means mighty warrior and a famous warrior, and Alexander means mighty warrior and defender of the people. Ethan means strong, firm, enduring. Timothy, honored of God. Ragsdale, in the meadow, dwelling in the meadow by the river. And that was actually a key phrase, because the Lord highlighted that one for me, and said, this was not just a happy accident. This was not just your random funny joke, Daniel. Your son will be my cherry tree, planted by the river of life, bearing fruit in every season, and shall never be uprooted. You know, and I'm like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. What a promise of protection. He's the one who creates us and sustains us. Why should we be afraid with a sovereign Lord in charge? Have you resigned yourself to the fact that you're a created being that's being sustained by every breath and brainwave? Take it in. You don't control your destiny, and we get to keep our eyes on Jesus. He says, I've created you to be utterly dependent on me. That's what Jesus says right now. That's what he's saying to me, and through me. I've wrote about it in my book, The Mystic One. There's a link in the description for that. But yeah, that's what he was telling me just yesterday, re-emphasizing that. Like, I created you to be dependent on me. You're never independent. You never take your eyes off of them, because to do so is what? Is death? I don't know. It's dismal. He is life. So what are you looking at if you're not looking at him? You know, he is light. What are you looking at if you're not looking at him? He is love. What are you looking at if not Him? Do you see what I mean? You see what He means, right? And those who, and there's a verse in 1 John, I recommend reading 1 John, about living our lives as Jesus did. How did He live His life? He lived His life absolutely dependent. You know, when it says, boast of your weakness, He's talking about just admitting, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm a bumbling toddler. I need to be led and fed. My word, God's words. And I live by His words. Moment by moment, He sustains me. His faithfulness sustains me. Do you see how much joy there is in this when you finally get it? When you finally can relax into this humility, because that's what it is. It's humility that Jesus is championing through this perspective. I need to emphasize it. I only touched on it a little bit, perhaps, in this first book, but you know what? I'm gonna capitalize it in the next. There's whole chapters about there's a whole chapter in part 2, volume 2 of the Mystic One. There's a whole chapter about the giraffe in the room. You talk about the elephant in the room, and you talk about the giraffe in the room. The giraffe is humility. It represents humility in this context. So, well, I know for one, I'm not rambling. Everything I'm saying is like, this is, I'm having conversations with God all the time. So this is His stream of consciousness as much as it is mine, because we are shared consciousness entity, currently known as Daniel Levitt. The Christ in me, the hope of glory, and the Christ in you, the hope of glory. This isn't exclusive to me at all. This is something He wants to awaken in each one of us, the Christ consciousness, rooted and grounded in biblical truth. How about that? Which brings me back to something I mentioned earlier, the Gospel according to Peter. I don't know about a lot of this Apocrypha stuff. I haven't read it. I haven't looked into this stuff. It's not, it hasn't been validated by, church fathers, and included in the canon. I'm like, I don't know, about the Gospel of Peter, Gospel of Thomas, or whatever. But you know what? Listen, all I know is I do feel as though I were led. This is all I got to go on. I have to go on. Gee, I found this book. It's kind of like I found this musical artist named Saint Finnegan, that I feel has such an anointing of God to do what he does. And I've just been so enjoying his music. Well, I found a book that I felt was anointed of God, and really it was a prophetic book from quite possibly the 1st century, quite possibly of relating to the Apostle John in some context, whether it be him specifically or his disciples. It just resonates of that, and some people scholars have suggested that. What I'm discussing here, what I'm talking about, is my recently released Odes of Solomon, and I say it's prophetic because, listen, Jesus speaks in it quite often. And hey, spoiler alert, He speaks often in my book, The Mystic One, as well, to and through me. It is a prophetic book as well. So I just want to thank you so much for listening today. I'll wrap it up with 20 minutes. Emma, would you like to come say hi? No? It's all right. You don't have to. Got my kids out here. But we're enjoying this wonderful day in Wisconsin. Wonderful summer day. And our baby Ethan. So we'd appreciate it if you click on the link below for our Instagram post featuring his photo and the song he was born to, Heaven's Eyes by Jillian Edwards. And what else? The Mystic One sample. Get plugged into that. There's ways to acquire that 27,000 words sample of the Mystic One. It's really something. I really, really love this book, and it's been such a joy to partner with Jesus in this venture, and venture Okay, so God bless you all. That's 20 minutes. Goodbye, everybody. God bless.